What was affordable 50 years ago that now only the rich can buy? Disney has gotten crazy expensive. Going to sports or concerts. A summer house. I know many families that have an old house on a lake that they go to in the summers. It's been passed down for a couple generations. Nobody in the current generation could afford one, but somehow a family with a single income bought it 50 years ago, and the man's wife and kids would spend the whole summer there, and he would go up on weekends. Tickets for events. A new comic book from 50 years ago. Disneyland. Chicken wings, nobody should be paying $2 per wing. A house. Ivory. A ski trip. It was still expensive, but now it's just crazy thanks to large corporations decreasing competition by buying all the resorts. Natural fiber clothing. Feels impossible to find anything affordable that has mostly cotton. Owning a home was much more affordable for the average person compared to today. A middle-income starter home. Time with your senator or congressperson, most of them. My mom participated in a program for youth/young adults to speak with their U.S. federal representatives, and actually went to meetings with them to express the youth's desires for the future. She even became pen pals with one and ended up being gifted a U.S. flag from his office for her efforts. Today that shit costs thousands of dollars a plate dinner, donations, and possible offers of board and executive positions to just get in the door to speak with them. Very large families, as in having 4 or more kids. Alaskan king crab. Slide film. I miss when it wasn't $30 a roll of Fuji Velvia. Housing, education, most high-quality food, vehicles, etc., etc. You can still get those things, but you will die in debt. Decent cocaine. Privacy. 50 years ago, owning a home was more affordable for the middle class. Today, skyrocketing housing prices have made homeownership a luxury accessible mainly to the wealthy, leaving many struggling to afford decent housing. College education. Well, more than 50 years ago, but lobster. In New England it used to be used by prisons to feed inmates. Plentiful, cheap, and kinda gross, so no one else was going to eat it. Single-engine airplanes. Automobiles. My first car cost me $3,255. My current one cost me nearly $40,000. Everything. Cries in Ontario loudly crying face. Living. Horses. What is not? A new car. In general, 1945 to 1975 USA is a bad benchmark. In the 1950s the whole world was rebuilding after World War II, and the US was the manufacturer for everyone. Very little competition and absurdly high wages. For the only time in US history, blue collar, no education jobs allowed a house and car, on one income. Never before or since has that level of income worked for the average job. By the time we got to the mid-70s, inflation caught up, and in the 80s deregulation under Reagan started putting all the profit into the wealthy's hands instead of the workers. Since the owner class was largely baby boomers, the largest voting bloc, the government didn't step in to help. Republicans rarely do. A house. Houses. A house. In the UK, the obvious answer to this is houses. A very large proportion of first-time buyers now get help with the deposit from the bank of mum and dad. Land. Life. Vaguely gestures. Everything. Life. A house. A future.